Good morning, sixth graders. Today we're going to be learning about adding and subtracting decimals. So for this, you're going to need Volume 1 textbook for math, your pencil, and an iPad. So once you go ahead, hit pause and go grab the materials you need. All right, welcome back. So we are on page 325, lesson 7.2, and we're going to be adding and subtracting decimals. So if you see the word sum, it means we're adding. If you see the word difference, it means we're subtracting. So go ahead and turn to page 325 and start thinking decimals. All right, for our intro problem, we're going to do the solve and share on page 325. It says Julie and Doug are building a treehouse out of wood boards. Julie has a board that is 1 15/100 meters long, and Doug has a board that is 7/10 meter long. What is the combined length of their boards? So first, we need to figure out what kind of problem is this. So I'm going to look back, and it says, what is the combined length of the boards? So when I see the word combined, that tells me we are adding. So down below, where Doug is standing, it says you can use structure to add or subtract decimals by lining up the place values. That is a very big deal for adding and subtracting decimals. We need to line up the place values. And you do that by lining up the decimal. So what do I mean by that? Let's take a look. So our first board is 1 15/100 meters long. My next board is 7/10 meters long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up my decimal points. And if I do that, that's going to put my 7 right there. And that lines it up automatically for me. So what I need to do next is fill in the empty place values with zeros and then go ahead and add from left to right. So it's all even and balanced, so I can do 0 plus 5 is 5, 7 plus 1 is 8, and 1 plus 0 is 1. Well, if I look at that, I get 185. So in the original problem, I had a board that was a little bit more than 1, and I had another board that was a little bit less than 1. So no way they're going to add up to more than 100. So I remember that if I have my decimals, I need to insert the decimal by bringing another one down, and they are all lined up in a row. So I get 1 15/100 plus 7/10, which gives me 1 85/100. All right, on page 326, we're going to go through the essential question with dealing with a time. So we have Kim and Martin swam 50 meters. Martin took 26/100 of a second longer than Kim. What was Martin's time in the race? So if we look over at the clock, we have Martin's time and Kim's time. And if Martin is that much longer than Kim, it means we're going to add the two together. So down here in section B, they're having us estimate to see what the answer is going to be. So first, the estimation, we have 51, because 50.9 you would round up to 51, and then 26/100 you're going to round up to 0 3/10. So that's what the problem looks like, and it's a little uneven. So we're going to add a decimal and a 0 and another 0 to balance it out. And then we just bring down our decimal, and then we have our decimals lined up, and we just add left to right. So we got 3 plus 0 is 3, 0 plus 1 is 1, and 0 plus 5 is 5. So our answer, our sum, should be about 51 3/10. So let's find the real answer. So if you look at C, it says add each place. You can regroup the sum of 9/10 and 2/10. Well, let's figure out what that means. So Kim's time is 50 and 9/10. So we're not rounding anymore. We're finding the actual combined time. So we have 50 and 9/10, and we're going to add 26/100. So first thing I do is I line up my decimals. That's very important. Line up our decimals. Then we're going to add some zeros to fill in our blank place values. And then we're going to add them up left to right. So we got 6 and 0 is 6. 9 and 2 is 11. So 1 and carry my 1. 1 and 0 is 1. And 5 plus 0 is 5. So we get 5,116. Oh yeah, I forgot to bring down my decimal. And I know I'm right if I have all my decimals lined up like that. So we have 51 and 1600ths, which is very, very close to our 51 and 3/10. So our sum, our answer is very close to our estimation, so we're good to go there. All right, now we're on page 327, so please turn to that page. And let's go through the guided practice together. Number 1 says, how is adding and subtracting decimals similar to and different from adding and subtracting whole numbers? I'm going to make a little T-chart to organize what I'm thinking, and I'm going to say same and different. Okay, so if you know something, go ahead and hit pause now and fill it in. Otherwise, follow along and see what we can come up together. So as I think about adding decimals and adding whole numbers, the same thing would be that you would add just like you always add, or you subtract just like you would always subtract. So the properties of addition and subtraction are the same. Different would be that when you add and subtract, you basically go from left to right if you're doing whole numbers, but if you have a decimal, you need to line up the decimal. That's how they're different. You got to line up the decimal first. So let's take that into practice across on number 2. So I have 5 and 9/10 and 2 and 7/10. So I have 5 and 9/10, and we're going to add 2 and 7/10. So I line up my decimals, I bring my decimal down, and we're going to add because we have a plus sign. So 7 plus 9 is 16, carry the 1. 1 plus 5 plus 2 is 8. 8 and 6/10. Number 3, we have 4 and 100th minus 2 and 9500ths. So I could bring down my decimal, and I can't take 5 from 1, so I make it an 11. But I borrowed that from here, and I need to borrow from there to fill out the properties. So I got 5 from 11 is 6, 9 from 9 is 0, and 2 from 3 is 1. So we have 1 and 600ths. And if you're wondering why we subtract on that one, it's because there's a minus sign. Number 4, we have, let's see, number 4. How do we do that? So we need to first line up our decimals. We got 2 and 5700ths, and we have 7 and 706, and we are adding. So anybody know what to do there? Billy, what do you think? Line up the decimals. We did that, bud. So now what do we do? Add your zeros. So we add our 0, and we have all balance. Put down my decimal. 6 plus 0 is 6. 7 and 0 is 7. 5 plus 7 is 12. Now I carry my 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. Plus 7 is 10. So we got 10 and 276 thousandths. Go ahead and hit pause, and then try number 5. And when you're done, unpause, and we'll work through it together. Okay, thanks for coming back. So we have 15, and we have minus 6.108. 15 is really 15.0. So you can tell our decimals are lined up, and we're going to subtract, bring down my decimal, and this time we need to put 2 zeros up there. So since we're subtracting, we're not going to combine numbers, we're going to take away. So 8 can't take away from 8 from 0, so you make it a 10. We need to borrow, and then make that a 4. So now we can do our subtraction. 8 from 10 is 2, 0 from 9 is 9, 1 from 9 is 8, and 14 minus 6 is 8. So we have 8 and 892 thousandths. Good job. All right, let's continue on with page 327, independent practice. So we're going to do 6, 7, 8, 9 together, and I'm going to let you do 10, 11, 12, 13 on your own, and I'll check back at the end. All right, for number 6, remember, first step, line up the decimals. So let's write down 2 and 1700ths minus 8/10. So I lined up my decimals. Now I need to add zeros to even it out. I bring down my decimal, and then we subtract. 0 from 7 is 7. Can't take 8 from 1, so let's make an 11 and borrow from there. So 11 minus 8 is 3, and 0 from 1 is 1. Step 2, or number 7, what do we do first? Hey, Mia, what do we do? Line them up. Okay, let's line up those decimals. So we have 4 and 3/10 plus 4 and 16 hundredths. Let's add a 0 to balance it out and line up our decimal or make our decimal. So that's 6 and 0 is 6, 3 and 1 is 4, and 4 and 4 is 8. Number 8, we have 46 and 91 hundredths minus 28 and 7/10. My decimals are lined up. Have my decimal, decimal, decimal. Let's add a 0 to balance it out. So 0 from 1 is 1. 7 from 9 is 2. I can't take 8 from 6, so I make it a 16 and borrow that 10 from here. So 8 from 16 is 8, and 2 from 3 is 1. Number 9, we have 4 and 815 thousandths plus 2 and 17 hundredths. So my decimals are lined up. I add my 0 and I bring down my decimal. We're adding, so let's find the sum. So Billy, can you tell if the decimals are lined up? Yep, they are. So let's add. 5 plus 0 is 5, 7 and 1 is 8, 8 and 1 is 9, and 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 and 985 thousandths. Okay, so please go ahead and do 10, 11, 12, 13. Hit pause before you start, and then we'll check back later for the answer. Remember to line up your decimals. Okay, so for 10, 11, 12, 13, I put in red what you should have done or what was missing from the original problem, and then I completed the problems. So after you subtract, you get the difference of 4 and 62 hundredths for number 10. Number 11, when you add, you get the sum of 27 and 185 thousandths. 12, once you subtract, you get the difference of 51 thousandths. And number 13, you get the sum of 23 and 8/10. So if any of your answers are different from what I have, please hit pause right now and then go back and compare my work to what you did and see what happened and went wrong. And if you have any questions, please come see me at the 2 o'clock help Zoom. Okay, quick review. So if we are adding, subtracting decimals and we don't line up the decimal, if we just bring one down and then we solve the problem, like this one, let's go back in, double check. So I got a number that's a little bit more than 1 and a number that's a little bit more than 15. No way I get a number that's almost 30. So lining up, if you don't line up the decimals, you're gonna get it wrong. On the right here, our decimals are lined up, so that means our place values are lined up, and then we're gonna get the correct answer if our arithmetic is good. Down below, just look at the one on the left. Do you think the answer is going to be right if the decimals aren't lined up? No way. The one on the right, decimals are lined up, so you have a much better chance of getting it right if you follow through with the correct arithmetic again. So make sure you line up those decimals, everybody. All right, everybody. Great job following along with the lesson. If you have any questions, please come and see me at the 2 o'clock Zoom. Send me an email or contact me. Questions for instructor, whatever way works best for you. Let me know. What to do next. So you're done with your book, please go to Schoology, reread the update, and then go ahead and finish your daily schedule, what you got to do. Again, have a great day, and please reach out if you have any questions. See you soon.